Welcome back to the second half here of AC Villa versus Kcca Football Club, match day 7, the highlight game. Certainly the biggest game, not just this week, but perhaps even in the season. A game that could salvage a career of Moses Baseda, who came here really with his time at Villa hanging on the thread. After this first half performance, a great performance, certainly the best Villa performance this season, anyone would want to give him a chance going forward. And Kcca, with a coach who is still carrying a bad injury, having come through a nightmare of a Sunday night after that attack by knife-wielding thugs, to come here and witness this breathtaking football, even though he could have had a chance to be in the lead. Really, you could say both coaches are looking forward to the next 45 minutes with relish, and for the fans, what panicky situation they find themselves in.
I think Villa fans will acquit Moses Basena after the 45 minutes display. There is no doubt that he has restored hope that AC Villa can actually start getting points in the league. But what a first half we've had.
Brian Subuga getting the second half underway. Home team Villa now playing from right to left of your screen, wearing all blue, their traditional colors. The end to the first half really alight the stadium. Throw into Kcca. Interesting job, because the changes in this game have really changed both teams. Bakati Shafik at the back, Pius Wanji in the front. They've taken long to start playing for Villa, but the first game here has been quite a highlight. While Mike Mutiaba also, who condemned Kadu on the bench, I think has already made it competition, even though he missed a sitter.
I don't think there's any player who is missed on either side, because the squads that have played, the teams that have been put out today have really acquitted themselves. You could clearly see that AC Villa is a rejuvenated side with the introduction of the two new players, and of course Kcca too. So it's a wonderful game here at Nambole. I must say it's the reason why people would come and be glued on their screens.
Patrick Kadu preparing to come on for Kcca. He started against Vipers last weekend. He did sit out the first 45 minutes here. In his place was Mike Mutiaba. This is a very promising position for either of Mustafa Kcca and Saddam Juma. They are both dead ball specialists. Kcca, it's a good ball and a good save by Bwete Brian. Kcca, like they did against Vipers, starting slowly in the second half. You must have seen the coach coming late off the bench. He must have gone to that dressing room very tough with them.
Yeah, I know Mike is very disappointed for this side to give away a goal in the last minutes of the game. And of course, it explains why also Mike Mutiaba would, come off. I think he's had a good game, but somehow been disappointing, especially when it comes to that finishing that could have ensured that Kcca have another goal.
Kcca opting a natural finisher in Kadu. Kcca. He wins another free kick. Villa on the back foot in the first 3 minutes of the second half. Kcca involved almost in every one of these moments.
Yeah, a wonderful player, Kcca. He reminds me of David Oboa. The style with which he plays. He's a lanky player, a youngster who has really put a stamp on his feet, especially in this game. Little no wonder he's the player who had the most assists for Kcca last season. He's one player for the future.
Anyone who missed last weekend's game at St. Mary's Stadium, Chitende, between Kcca and Vipers, Kcca scored from this exact position. The free kick last weekend was taken by young man Alan Okeno. And this time, it's interesting to see where Mustafa Kcca is going to place this ball. He opts for a link-up play. Try to be creative there, but they give a chance to Villa to defend. Poloto now changing sides. They did this exactly in the game against Vipers, where Poloto in the second half changed wings. Chambade, Kadu, dribbles. Kadu, chance for Alan Okello. Alan goes for goal. Goalkeeper does very well. Kcca in the mood. They are going for Brock. Villa must be really very wary of the intent.
Yeah, of course, Kcca have started brightly. They play very well on the wing, and of course that great shot from Alan Okello could have gone anywhere. You have to give credit to Brian Buete, who was very, very solid this time against what could have been Kcca's number 3.
Offside there. Alan Okello, whose shot was saved a little while ago, 2 goals already, and with an assist this season. Well, if you blame Lukwago Charles for goal number 1 for Villa, then you've got to thank him for that save. That could have made it 3-2 in the first half of Villa. That's the life that goalkeepers live. A hero one time, a villain the next.
Yeah, of course, that's what happens with goalkeepers. When you have a good day, everyone loves you. But the day you have a bad day,
Chambade, he had a very, very good first half. Chambade Alan, former Villa player. Interesting, Kcca has several players who switched from Villa to KCC. Chambade, of course, among them. Nicolas Kasozi, who is on the bench. The other, Bernard Mwanga as well, who is missing out because of injury. And then Jackson Nunda and Isaac Chirabida and the other players who were once Villa players.
of course, Villa has had so many issues. I mean, their captain Chirabida also leaving the club. Just shows you the kind of troubles that Villa have had. I think they've recovered from their political, instability within the club.
Well, already KCC using one of their substitutions. They have a strong bench, Kcca, unlike Villa. Should they want to make further attacking changes, they still have Jackson Nunda to call on. Mike Mutiaba and Basina have worked with each other before. The days of Mutebi at Simba Football Club, the Army side. Mutebi was the head coach. Basena was the assistant. So they know each other too well. No wonder this is a very important game for both.
Yeah, certainly one a former Villa player and another a former Kcca player. Just shows you the rivalry between the two coaches once again. Moses Basena used to play for AC Villa in his heydays. And of course, Mike Mutebi is your one club man. Of course, he did move to Villa.
That's a chance. Mugisa again. His first attempt at goal in the second half. But we know he can shoot them. In fact, we know he can score them. I don't know whether Mugisa has had a better game this season. But in my book, this is the best game he's had for AC Villa in the 2018-2019 Start Times Uganda Premier League.
I can't agree more. He's a player who has grown in leaps and bounds. He's a wonderful player in that midfield for AC Villa. Of course, Edgar Watson, the CEO of FUFA, used to occupy that position where the youngster is playing right now. But when you look at his ability to hold on to that ball and hit it at will, of course, credit to Lukwago Emmanuel, has made his debut on the national team. Says it all.
Saddam, Kcca, Poloto with space. Chambade shoots wide. Well, Chambade was the superstar at AC Villa 2 seasons ago. He was their main man. And he's here now at Kcca, and he has first become one of their key men. And here again, he has a chance. This time though, he shoots wide.
Good interplay between him and Poloto. He did everything right. After that header from Poloto, chased the ball, tries to go for a volley. I must agree, Aldrin, Chambade is a wonderful player. I like his confidence on the ball, his ability to get into deadly spaces, and he just showed that.
Well, last weekend, the 6th round on match day 6, some interesting results there because Bright Stars, who are almost competing in terms of best scorers so far this season, winning Chirinya by 4-1, Bull winning Ndeja University by 4-1, Express obviously going away and coming back with a 3-1 win over Paida, Police drawing Maroons 2-2, Barra City, as we've heard, beating Villa 2-1, as the first yellow card is produced here. Obenchan guilty of fouling Semuju. Too busy Semuju, but even busier Obenchan, who is now getting into the referee's book.
Yeah, of course he had to, because Semuju is a tricky player. Every time he gets onto that ball, you have to either take him down or you have to do something better than usual. And of course that battle between the two has been already demonstrated in the first half.
Kcca are known to be better in the second half. And again here, they are showing to be the better side in the first 10 minutes of the second half. Villa are the slow starters. Attention needs to be given to a Kcca player. So much to give and so much to get this season. For Kcca, should they win as they wait for Vipers and Express game tomorrow, it will shoot them to the top of the log ahead of Vipers. But if they don't win, then they will stay in second position. Should Villa win, they will straight away leapfrog number 14 and number 13 on the log, which will get them probably out of danger. So the 3 points are important for both teams. Katu getting some notes there from his coach. Revision session. This case is a fan. What can you tell him?
I mean, they're enjoying themselves. The league is back to life. The Star Times Uganda Premier League is offering a lot of lifeline for those who love football in Uganda. There's no doubt that for the traveling fans this afternoon are really being treated to one of the best games so far this season. No doubt about it.
There have been question marks in the past as to whether the allegedly big teams are at the same level, whether they still have the same entertainment value when they play football. But this season, the 2018-2019, seems to be answering that. Because thus far, in the most recent games watched by everyone, Express Football Club, Kcca Football Club, Viper Soccer Club, SC Villa, they seem to be really coming good on their word. They are the big teams. And each and every one of the games that they are involved in, it's real entertainment for fans.
It's good for nostalgia. For some of us who have been around, you know, you want to see Express play the kind of football that we know they can play. Square Moto, AC Villa. You want to see Kcca in there. So it's good for Ugandan football that you've got around 5 clubs right now who are vying for the title as early as day 7.
The surprise team in the mix, obviously, Bull FC. And Onparaka must be mentioned as well in the same line. Bull FC at the moment, second on the log.
Bull have invested a lot into that club. But they've been consistent, I must say. They've lost a couple players, including Musana, who plays for Kcca. They've had some fantastic players.
Jackson Nunda preparing to come on. Bukenya Lawrence, the deep-lying midfielder, coming off. Now a clear message that Mike Mutebi is not going to rest with a point here. When you introduce Nunda and take out Kenya, only one message is to attack, attack, and attack. Because Nunda is perhaps the best artist on the pitch after his introduction.
There's no doubt. I think in that midfield, Kcca are playing with probably one holding midfielder. The rest have been deployed to attack. So, Olin, I agree. Mike Mutebi knows that he needs to make a message. He needs to make a statement today against AC Villa. And no better way to show that you're a big club, especially if you're going to take on one of the most successful clubs in Ugandan football and beat them.
A chance and a goal! He is there. He's just come on. We just talked about him. And what does he do, Jackson Nunda? He heads KCC into the lead. His first touch in the second half. That's what he came to do. And yet again, a Midas touch by a coach who is brilliant at reading the game.
Once again, Villa's defense being let down. But look at that header. You must give credit to Mike Mutebi. He knew that he needed to have more attacking players on the field. But my word, that defending is awful for AC Villa. You cannot take it away from the youngster Nunda, who knew exactly where to place that ball. And he did exactly that.
There is a coach who knows his football. He brings out a holding midfielder. He brings in an attacking Nunda, the artist we just talked about before he scored. And his first touch is nothing but a goal to give KCCA their 10th goal in 7 games. And first time this particular game, they are in the lead. 3-2 for the visitors. Great work there by the midfielder.
No doubt about it. It was a great substitution, but we saw this coming. AC Villa started very poorly in the second half. I don't know what happened. They finished the the first half very strongly after getting that equalizer from Bashir. You thought that they would have the same impetus coming into the second half. It didn't happen, and they have been punished here by a very, very talented KCCA team.
For the first time this season, KCCA Football Club have scored more than 2 goals in a single match. Just like for the first time this season, KCCA Football Club have conceded 2 goals in 1 match. Quite a turnaround, quite a game to define their season. Villa, who started slowly and now trying to recompose. But here comes Kadu. Pacey, aggressive and direct. Kadu picks out Nunda again. Well, a little bit about Nunda, Joe, for those who are just being introduced to this young man. In the 80s and 80s and very early 90s, a player, Moses Ndaula, deep-lying holding midfielder for Express, one of the most technical, gifted players I've ever seen in Uganda football. That is the style you see in Nunda. And on the attacking front, it is Wile Chambade when he's in his group. That's how good that he is technically, Nunda. Unfortunately, he's been so injured over seasons, people are not getting a chance to watch what he's capable of. But for style, that's exactly what Nunda is about. Elegant, silky, highly technical, a brilliant magician on the ball and with the ball.
And of course, those are players that Mike Mutebi fancies too much. Of course, making those late runs into the midfield. But the beauty with which he plays is his ability on the first touch and, of course, his positional awareness. A left-footed player, if you ask me, very talented. And people have talked about Mike Mutebi selling players abroad. But I think Mike is creating talent for Ugandan football. We must notice that. He's giving a chance to these 21-year-olds to express themselves, and it's good for Ugandan football.
Shabad has been played in. That is much better defending from Kabugo. We haven't seen so much of Kabugo in the first half. He needs to be more dominant now in the second, because after the introduction of Nunda, with a clear message that KCCA are continuing the attack, he needs to come good, just like Habib Kavuma. 2 centre-backs, perhaps edging, but in a game like this, they need to be at their very, very best. And that's a handball by Kadu.
Yeah, certainly you expect a lot from Savio and, of course, Habib. Sometimes they've looked very, very slow in that defense. They've looked very slow in reacting. And when you look at a very intelligent attacking side of KCCA, they don't give you chances like that. And Aldrin, that's very true. Villa's defense has let them down this evening.
3 goals conceded here against Kcca. 3 goals conceded against Vipers only 2 weeks ago. 2 big teams scoring 3 times past SC Villa, once the standard bearer of Ugandan football. For some observers and fans, that is unacceptable.
Yeah, it's unacceptable, especially if you're going to lose 3 games at home. It's inconceivable for AC Villa. And like we talked about Moses Bassena saving his job. Yes, when you go with the first half performance, he's done well. But what the fans are looking out for are 3 points, which have eluded AC Villa. They are setting their own record of not winning in 6 games.
They're coming again, but Awanyi saves brilliantly. Well, this game is the 4th time Villa are playing at home this season, and in none of those times have they managed to win. 0-0 against URA. They lost to Onduparaka 1-0. They were beaten by Vipers 3-1 here, and now they are trailing to KCC 3-2. But here they come with a corner. Well, there was some thought there that maybe Lukwago was inside. Okello trying to beat Mugisa for pace. And unusually, Mugisa, who has had a very good game right up to now, he was forced to be the one backtracking. Okello daring him with pace.
When you look at that moment, the intelligence of a player is seen in his first touch. He knew exactly what he was doing. He just passed the ball and let Albert make the mistake of pulling him. And Albert knew what he was doing. He knew that if he let Okello go, it could have been another bad moment for AC Villa.
Mugisha Albert, by far Villa's best player in this match so far. 1 goal for him. But as we just seen there, also 1 booking, which means 1 yellow card. Chambade. Well, the most popular Chambade at KCC is none other than Magic Willie Jamil Chambade, Magic being his nickname. That Chambade, every KC fan will love to remember. Perhaps, outside Jackson Mayanja, the best entertainer, of course, with the exception of the late Philip Omondi, that the club has ever seen. No player at KCC has ever entertained fans and football as Chambade, who could dribble the entire pitch and do everything he wanted at pace and at his own volition. Chambade, that's what he reminds us.
Yeah, in those days, football was not a matter of life and death. Players enjoyed themselves. And I mean, you just talked about the two, Jackson Mayanja and Chambade. They played with a smile on their face, something you don't see every day. So, yes, I agree, Aldrin. Chambade with his left foot was amazing. And for me, it's good to see, it's good to know that these clubs have produced excellent players.
And the fans here, really, you can't fault them. They've come in numbers. They want their club to return to the good old days. They are SC Villa. They are 16 record champions. They cannot play 7 matches without victory. And this game is not just a test of character, it's a test of loyalty. And for the Villa faithful, it's a test also of the traditions of this football club. Because if they rest just like that and comfortable with this kind of result, maybe the club must start to worry.
Yeah, suddenly it's a very bad situation for AC Villa. For any fan of AC Villa, these are the worst moments of AC Villa in their history.
Kadu. He tries to beat Kabugo. Okello. Kadu. Poloto. Habib does well. Villa will restart with a long one. Villa's game, a total change from what we saw in the first half. You thought they could build on what they did in the first half, where they really were opening up play, opening up both wide areas, attacking, probing. They are not doing that in the second half. Maybe thanks to the tactics of the KCC coach.
Yeah, I think Mike has populated that midfield clearly. Kcca is dominating possession with almost 6 players in that midfield. You think that they have outnumbered Villa in that midfield. But of course, the aging Manko Kawesa has not made issues better for AC Villa.
Well, maybe it's a case of youth against experience and maturity, because KCC boasts of youngsters in that midfield, while Villa has a couple of veterans who are fighting for prominence. Among the youngsters from KCC, obviously, is Poloto and Alan Okello, best friends who even are normally roommates when they travel or when they're in camp. They love each other, and that explains why sometimes Mike Mutebi must play both when they are both fit, because psychology there tells you that two players who are in sync, love each other, friends with each other, they always bring a better partnership, and we are seeing it almost week in and out when they play together.
I agree, Aldrin. The camaraderie between these players of KCC and Mike has managed to instill that within the player. But interestingly, I have a player on the bench in Serwa Da, a player who has just completed his senior 4 in Old Kampala. For me, that tells you the story. A senior 4 featuring for one of the most exciting clubs in Ugandan football tells you the philosophy and ideology that this club is putting out there.
Steven Serwata, Alan Okello, Poloto Julius, 3 players in the KCCA team for today, all below 21 years.
And they're playing very well, these youngsters. It's a philosophy that Mike has always had. For some of us who have known Mike for a long time, you will know that he believes in young talent. Not so many people believe that you can use 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds and play, especially at continental level. He has proved that. Actually, he has dethroned AC Villa.
Shamate, he went with that run against Vipers and won a penalty. He almost did that against Kcca. This time though, Kcca coming out the better player. But those runs by Chambade now becoming a habit when they play in games like this. Poloto, Kadu chipping, Chambade, he's defended and the goalkeeper does well. Well, Chambade is finding the spaces, he's getting more of the ball and he's really bothering this Villa defense.
He wants to punish his former side, Chambade, and of course he's been pushed up front with the introduction of Nunda, who's playing in the center. Chambade has been given the license to roam and of course make those darting runs, which is making AC Villa a schoolboy team right here.
Semuju hardly done anything in the second half. He was full of running. They are probably most dangerous player when he does those runs on the left. Now, probably, he has to come off. And no wonder Mike Serumaga will replace him. We've seen nothing of Semuju totally in the second half. And this was a surprising substitution.
Moses Basena must be listening to our commentary, because we just talked about him initially as the star man for Villa, but also a poor performer, I must say, today. And rightfully so, Mike Serumaga had to come in, because Villa right now needs some impetus, some experience. They need it to try and salvage something out of this game.
Well, Mike Serumaga adding to Habib Kavuma and Manko Kcca among the old boys or mature players in this Villa side. Serumaga certainly once played for them, and that's why he made his name. Left the club and made his troubles, but eventually he has returned just when they needed his experience most. As they think of young players to bring in, Mike Serumaga, their creative hub, could be the player to nurture and probably lead the team together.
Yeah, of course, with the pressure mounting on a club like AC Villa, sometimes you need to use the approach that Moses Bassen has sought to use, trying to use experienced players to try and stabilize the ship. But this time around, it's playing against him, because sometimes they lose out on pace. And I must say the difference in the second half is in the age difference and the energy that the KCCA players have. Not to say the least, the quality on the bench. When you talk about most teams, not so many teams can actually compare with the quality that KCCA have on their bench.
Well, just like Semuju in the second half, we are not seeing Pius Wanji, one of the outstanding performers for Villa in the first half, gone very quiet. And Mugisa Albert, he's run out of gas. Offside decision there. What youth gives you in games like this over time is endurance. And no wonder as the game gets older, KCCA, the much younger side, gets even better.
Yeah, of course, it's a case of endurance. I mean, the average age of this KCCA side is about 24, 23 years. it's something that you just can't beat in the modern game. Younger players are more energetic, they last the distance, they can run several kilometers on the field. And that's what Mike Mutebi has tried to do. They play with the same pace almost for 80 minutes into most of their games.
Better defending from Manko Awesa. Obenchan tries to pick his range. Villa being forced to defend deep here. Obenchan. Poor clearance again from Villa. There was a holding there and no arguments. Free kick to KCC. Kabugo guilty.
Of course there, Kabugo fighting for the ball against Kadu. Using his elbow. Something that the referee, of course, had to see.
Savio Kabugo, a sort of legend at Proline. Not in the sense of achievements and things done, but in the sense of starting the club, supporting it, even financing in some cases, playing with the youngsters, and being loyal and faithful with them throughout the big league.
I mean, that's where he made his career, really.
Kcca! And that's hitting the side netting. Whoa! Well, that really shook some fans of Villa. It was well hit. AC Villa continuing to lose their way, really.
Of course, the advantage of television here, you can see clearly that ball hit the outside of the net, but what a ball. He struck it ever so well. There was no chance for Bwete. And that youngster, for me, is proving to be one of them. The likes of Okello, Obenchan, Poloto. What a generation Mike has created at this Kcca club.
Well, with 15 minutes left to full time at Mandela National Stadium, Joe, if you were Mr. Basena, what would you do? The game is getting out of your hands. It's a game you must win. There's so much pressure on the terraces. Fans waiting for you. What do you do?
I mean, you've heard of Lady Luck, Aldrin. I must say, Moses Basena has done everything humanly possible. He's run out of ideas right now. You can only hope and pray that the likes of Mike Serumaga can come to your rescue, but there's not so little you can do, really. I think he's way beyond what he can do. The first half was a wonderful first half by all intents and purposes. But somehow, you think that he needs to do more in terms of psyching his players, especially in the second half.
Both teams, you would say, have been guilty of poor defending today. Maybe one of only 2 goals could have entered had both defenses been better. So that will not please them. But then again, football is about attack. It's about goals. Fans love to see goals. And coaches appreciate it with goals that their team score. And maybe the 3-2 scoreline should please not just the fans, but reversely, the coaches as well, because it shows the willingness to go for goal, the willingness to open up, the willingness to allow your team to play freely.
Actually, you can safely say that Moses Basena is losing honorably today. For some of you who would like to, give him some credit, I think he's done well, Moses Basena. He's played against a very, very technically gifted side. A side that has got too much quality on the field. They can afford to have players like Serwada on the bench, Kadu on the bench, and still play a fantastic football game, Kcca.
They still have Muwajama Weje, a normal starter. He came off the bench against Vipers. He's still available. He could come on any time. Senjobe Eric, who have started certain games this season already, also on the bench. Shilavira Isaac, who has hardly started a game this season, was the most consistent performer last season. He hasn't even had a look in. Obviously, there are others like Muanga, who, Bernard, are just injured and out. So suddenly, with Nicolas Katosi also not finding room on the bench, you are talking about a team with depth. Perhaps the best where quality is concerned. And that's the kind of challenge that are really lacking Villa side in terms of depth. has to fight against today?
Not the most richly assembled side, because he's relying on players who play in, you know, who are still in their university, playing in the secondary school, Mike Mutebi. But the quality, he just got the age of buying players, good players, scouting good players, Mike Mutebi.
The captain, Ambrose Kcca, coming out. Luzige Edgar coming in. A sign of intent there, because now Villa, it seems, have decided to throw caution to the wind and go for broke, because Kcca, as we know him, is more known for his defensive play and solid organization. Luzige, the more open and versatile player, will try to add to the creativity and aggression in attack.
I must say that Kcca has had a bad game. He played well against URA when they played here. He was one of the drivers, but he's not led well as a captain. And little no wonder the coach has got different ideas. But I must say, the moment Manko Kawesa conceded that own goal, clearly for me was a telling story for Villa. They are sometimes the architects of their own downfall.
Here is the man I just talked about a few minutes ago, Muwada Maweje. Solid right wing back, who really roams that right fantastically. His introduction, if he does get introduced, will be a sign that Kcca are both defending, but also not letting up any of their attacks, because when Maweje plays, he is almost a winger in that setup.
He is a flying winger, and deservedly Kcca just can't lose on any big side. They almost lost against Vipers, but they recovered in the manner in which they did.
Mugisa's ball, comfortable for the goalkeeper.
Aldrin, I was just alluding to the fact that Kcca travels to Greenlight Stadium in Arua, a game that we watched together, where everyone expected Ondu Paraka to actually upset Kcca in their own backyard. They responded with a win away from home. Away to AC Villa, where everyone expected Villa to win at home in the manner in which they did, have dispatched them again in their own backyard. Truly, they have their money on the trophy.
Nunda there being brought down. Kcca. Saddam. Nunda. Saddam. Great play. Clearance by Kavuma.
I'm impressed with the way Saddam Juma has actually, picked up himself after losing that penalty. He seems like not even bothered with the comments that his coach made. That's the kind of professionalism you want to see with youngsters.
Maweje coming in for Mustafa Kcca. The same substitution he made against Vipers. Strange, because Kcca is on the left, Muwada plays on the right, but that tells you there's going to be a tactical switch, and that's what Mutebi does. He's the best when it comes to that.
I suspect Poloto or one of them could switch, but we know that in modern game players can play more than 3 positions.
Obenchan. Poloto's cross. Chance. Chambate. And that's a side netting. Mutebi in disbelief. You wonder what he's thinking there. Serumaga, the creator-in-chief, overhits that ball. One end, Villa surviving, and on the other, Mike Serumaga miscrossing that ball. In his days, Joe, Serumaga, I don't remember a better player in number 10. That left foot, not just for Villa, but for the Uganda Cranes. Excellent at free kicks, a crosser of the ball, excellent dribbler, a trickster. What didn't he do? And a goal scorer. When he comes very late in his career to help this Villa side, you know they are not gambling. He can actually deliver for them.
And of course, he's put up some interesting games. I watched him here against URA. He was one of the better players. A game he started and he played so well, Mike Serumaga. But of course, Mike, Aldrin, you just saw Mike there, very worried about his team because he knows that football can change within flashes. Villa only need one goal and it could be a disappointment for Kcca. That's why he needs more goals.
It only takes a second for a goal to go in. Here is the playmaker for Villa. A chance for Wanji. Wanji! And he loses possession. Intelligent defending there because any touch could have resulted in a penalty had Wanji gone down. So this is intelligent defending.
You must give credit to Oben Chan. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that any touch on Wanji would be an agony for Kcca because that would be a penalty with just 6 minutes left to the end of this game. That would be a sad story, a sad ending for Kcca.
Kcca, he needs to make good for his mistake for that second goal conceded. Mutanda losing focus. Mutanda, he scored the second goal almost at the stroke of half time, and here he is upset. He disagrees with the linesman.
There's no doubt Villa have had a very poor second half. Little no wonder they are a goal down against a very good Kcca side.
If the scoreline remains as is after this game, Kcca will rise above Vipers and Bull and go into first position with 15 points. Obviously awaiting Vipers to play their game tomorrow away at Wangruku against Express. And for Villa, surely they will remain stuck in 15th position, just one position away from the bottom.
That's a bad foul by Manko Kcca. No stranger to that kind of play. But Aldrin, you just talked about the live game tomorrow on Sanyuka television. Express against Vipers. We know that Express is a club that has also changed their fortunes this season. Not in terms of the way they play, but also in terms of the sponsorship. Today they've unveiled a sponsorship which shows the faith that the sponsors have, not just in the Star Times Uganda Premier League, but also a great club like Express.
Well, finally the substitution coming good here. Muwada coming on. But talking about Express Ball Club's latest sponsor, Betway. 400 million it is. Shirt sponsor coming on the eve of a big game against Vipers, the champions, at a time when Express have won back-to-back matches, being pushed, you can't believe it, in 5th position and only on goal difference. A club that 2 weeks ago was still languishing in a danger zone. You think these are not just good times for Express, but for Express fans, you have to be in Wangruku tomorrow. Or if not, you just have to be on the Star Times app, or even then, buy that decoder so that you can't miss this action on Sanyuka TV.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. Vipers, no doubt, one of the best clubs right now in Ugandan football. They have showed it, just like Kcca, they've got depth and quality. So it's going to be an interesting game to see how, I don't know who will be called the Red Eagles, sorry. Because they both have been accustomed to putting on red.
The table as it stands now, before the end of this match, Vipers in the lead with 14 points, Bull 13, Kcca 12, Bright Stars 11. They're sharing those number of points with Express, only separated by a goal difference. On the Baraka in 6th, Mbarara, would you believe it, in 7th. There's contention here as some Villa players believe they could have got a penalty, but they are half-hearted protestations. Maybe nothing serious in that.
I don't think there was anything serious. Of course, Mike Serumaga, a man who has tried to change something in this Villa team. You thought that his claim was not very accurate. In fact, it was handball against, but players do that most of the times. Sometimes go away with it.
Poor cross. Really, Villa giving us nothing in the second half. All their key players, Bakaki, Shafiq there who crossed the ball, did well in the first half in defense of defending. His influence in the second half as poor as Wanji's influence as well. And now some, I think, time wasting here. Well, this is a time when clubs claim the 3 points are more important than anything. But for Kcca, I believe on the balance of play. They've played well, they've scored great goals, they've shown good heart, they required for the goal behind. In the second half, they've been the dominant side, they've dominated possession, and maybe really, in terms of possession and who was really better, Kcca perhaps deserved the victory.
No doubt about it. The better side is in the lead and at the verge of winning away from home once again. I mean, if your side is going to come and bulldoze you in your own backyard, they did this against Ondu Paraka, and of course have done it against AC Villa. It just shows how strong this Kcca side is.
At home, they've been suffering Kcca after being forced to goalless draws against Chirinya and Mbarara City. But here now, they are coming in different fashion. They are looking very, very confident. Their coach, who really is still nursing a nightmare after the incident that occurred to him at home on Sunday, I think this is his welcome back. It is a way of being told, coach, we missed you. Sorry, coach, about what happened to you. We are still with you. We love you, and we shall win this game for you because you've foregone that place on the hospital bed to come and be with us. We shall give you the victory.
I think they've played for Mike Mutebi. There's no doubt about it. They know the kind of pain that he's going through right now. He's telling his players it doesn't matter. That's what football is all about. You have to punish your body. You have to get down there and fight for that yellow jersey, that great yellow jersey for Kcca. And little no wonder players have really put up a good show for Mike Mutebi today.
Coaching is in so many dimensions, and that's one way. A suffering coach, clearly not supposed to be here, showing his players, you need to be committed. You have to give it your best every time you wear the jersey, and that's a great message. No wonder in the second half, they've returned a much different package. They are dominating, they are pushing Villa all the way. Villa themselves need an example, but at the moment, they can't get it from anyone. They need inspiration, but by far, there's nobody out there to inspire them. 90 minutes gone, 3 minutes of added time. Kcca, the visitors, still leading by 2-0. Joe, with the game now really running out, your last thoughts, what really do you make out of this game in as far as title hopes are concerned for Kcca and survival hopes are concerned for Villa?
Yeah, for Kcca it's very bright. They've got every reason to believe that they can actually win the league after missing out last season. For Villa, I think they have to start to think about whether or not they can stay in the league, because you cannot not have this kind of performance in a very competitive league like this one, where you have teams like Bull and Bright Stars playing ever so well on Duparaka. You think that Villa have got an uphill task this season.
It's hard if you are Villa, really. Do you fault the coach because no win in 7, fourth defeat, languishing at the bottom of the table? It's hard to understand. They brought in 2 new players, not new in the league, but new for them. First-timers in Pius Wanji and Bakati Shafiq, who were with Vipers, only released recently. The coach promised they'll give their all, and indeed they have. But in the second half, totally lacking in motivation and in direction. You wonder whether the blame goes to the players or the coach. It doesn't matter, because the score line will still read the home side Villa 2, Kcca the visitors 3. And there, I think the referee is saying enough, enough, not just for Villa, but for Kcca fans. They are saying it was a journey well spent. For coach Mike Mutebi, a man who almost survived death, because you can't know what could have happened to him on Sunday night when he was attacked by thugs at his home. Coming, supposed to be in hospital, he's here now, sharing 1 or 2 words with his colleague. But Joe, it is Kcca coming away again with victory. For Villa, we don't know what the fans are going to do, but for Mr. Moses Basena, it's a trying time.
Yeah, it's a trying time for Moses Passen. I thought he's gave it his all. I mean, we have to be a little bit, comfortable with the way he has played today. But in the end, it is quality at the gate. It is Mike Mutebi, the smarter coach. And clearly, you could see in terms of tactics, Mike Mutebi was far much better than his opponent.
That is the verdict of George Chigozie, who says at the end of the day, it comes down to tactics. And tactically, clearly, Mike Mutebi was a better tactician. He saw there was a balance in the first half. In the second half, he outwitted his colleague. And there's no question, his substitutions, his changes, also, actually, his boldness made all the difference. The first touch for Nunda Jackson was all it took to put Kcca in the lead. And for a team that came in third position, they will finish today in fourth position with 15 points. So after a grueling 90 minutes, a fantastic game of football, a game worthy of two biggest clubs in Ugandan football, Kcca, the ones chasing champions 2016-2017, they have come away victorious. For Villa, they will go sleeping, thinking about the next move. It's Kcca who came all the way thinking they can win. And at the end of the day, the home side Villa have lost. It's Villa 2, Kcca 3. It's Aldrin Suga Senior, your commentators alongside me, my colleague, George Chigozie. Good night.